Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34, back with top 10 favorite cards for me from 1982, kind of following along on the series that I've been making. So if you want, you can check those out if you haven't already. I'll start off with the card on the left here. These are the honorable mentions, but I love that Jack Lambert card. It has the All-Pro designation, and I always loved the Topps All-Pro cards. And with that smile missing his teeth, that's very Jack Lambert. The card in the middle there, in action, that's Tony Dorsett. And I love that image of him reaching out to catch that ball. And then on the right, there were insert stickers in the packs. And that's the Joe Montana Super Bowl MVP sticker. Really like that card. And there are a couple others that I really liked. So speaking of Jack Lambert, I have that one right there. And then this Billy Sims All-Pro, like that one as well. So another honorable mention is this Elvin Bethea. I've always really liked that card. He looks like he just wants to get back out on the field and hurt somebody. But you see him there with the towel over his head, kind of a dirty jersey, mud on his elbows, the big arm pad, and getting a drink. But I think that one's pretty great. And I will show a couple other in-action cards. Now, I kind of went crazy with those on the last video, so I'm going to kind of keep myself under wraps today, but I do like this one right here, the Joe Cribbs. You've got the offensive player kind of falling over, but you've got him running with a little dust kicking up. Really like that image right there. And then with the Buffalo Bill kind of running forward, him running forward. Really like that image. And this Stanley Steam Train right here from the New England Patriots. Really like that one with the Steelers defender kind of wrapping up on his leg as he's stretching out for more yards. And my favorite in-action card that year was this Terry Bradshaw. Looks like he's celebrating a touchdown right there with his hands up with the numbers 1. Love that. And then for me, they didn't quite make my top 10, but a couple of honorable mentions from my alma mater that I really like. This is the Eric Hipple rookie card. He played at Utah State. And this one right here, Rick Paris, who led the Broncos in rushing that year. He had somewhere between 700 and 800 yards. He was injured his whole rookie season in 1980, but led the team in 81. Another card that almost made the list for me was this George Rogers rookie card. He had a fantastic rookie season, had him almost 700 yards rushing to break the old rushing record, and they show this record breaker card of him right there. So that record got broken a few times in a very short amount of time, because you had Earl Campbell breaking it in 1978, and then Otis O.J. Anderson in 79, and then George Rogers in 1981. And I remember him also on Washington during that Super Bowl run. It was Timmy Smith who was amazing in that Super Bowl and ran for like 200 yards or whatever. But a good card for sure, and a good player. And then just squeaking out of the top 10, this Joe Montana, that's his second year card. On the phone, which is funny because his 1987 Topps card, he's also on the phone. And then I guess you could say this would be my 11th favorite card. This is the Chris Collinsworth. So I have one for my binder set and then one in a little better condition in the top loader. He had an in-action card as well. So he was a really talented receiver, had 2 or 3 1,000-yard years with the Bengals. Maybe it was even more than that, but he was really good. And nowadays he's more known as a commentator for the football games, and still very visible in the NFL, but always really liked that rookie card there. All right, so now for my top 10. Number 10, well, that's not number 10. That's his in-action card, but number 10 is the Everson Walls rookie card. Everson Walls is one of those guys who I'd really like to see get into the Hall of Fame. He had 11 interceptions as a rookie and a really solid career with Dallas. And my biggest memory of him was when he was near the end of his career with the New York Giants and they won a Super Bowl. His reaction after that game, celebrating on the field, you could just see the joy and the happiness that he had. And it always stuck with me. It was a really great moment, and really loved that he was able to get that Super Bowl win. And so from number 10 to number 9, that's going to be Anthony Munoz, rookie card. One of the great offensive linemen of all time. And, you know, I had a hard time not bumping him up any further in the list, but that's a great card. You got Chris Collinsworth and Ken Anderson there with him. Looks like he's happy about whatever the play they just ran was. Great player, all-pro as a rookie. And when I was a kid, I did write to him and got that back from him. So I was really happy about that. And, you know, a great way to make me a fan is to return my mail, my TTMs. And so that was great to get that one from him. Okay, so coming in at number 8, and I think a lot of you would have this much higher, and I totally get it. It's just for me, I had other cards that I liked a little bit more, and that's the Ronnie Lott rookie card. Hall of Famer, Super Bowl, multi-Super Bowl winning safety, cornerback. He was such a talented player, so tough, hard hitter, always gave 100%, great player, so I love that card right there. And then next up for me would be this Joe Delaney card. So Joe Delaney, that's his rookie card. As a rookie, he ran for over 1,100 yards, averaged almost 5 yards a carry. Here's his in-action card. And I'm such a big fan of his, I even got his rookie card in a PSA slab. He was a great player, super talented, but he had a very short career. He basically, he lost his life trying to save a couple kids. He did get one of them out, but he drowned trying to save 2 kids who were drowning. So, you know, he made the ultimate sacrifice there. And I saw in NFL films on him, just like a lot of these players, because they were before my time, as far as like I didn't remember these players from the early 80s, unless they were still playing, you know, in 85, 86, 87. And he wasn't around by then. So NFL films really helped me to appreciate Joe Delaney and his career. In fact, his nephew is Terrace Marshall Jr., the wide receiver who's been playing in the NFL. So it's kind of cool that there's still a family member in the NFL more recently. And yeah, just a very talented player, great player actually, and a hero right there. So happy to have that one for sure. My number 6 favorite card of the year is this one here. Not biased at all with this top 10, right? So this is the Football Brothers card of Eddie and Walter. And I kind of mentioned in an earlier video that I wrote to Eddie, and one of the cards I had him sign was the Football Brothers card. So I love having that in the collection. So just the fact that they made these Football Brothers cards was pretty great. And we have a couple, you know, current players that have had siblings playing in the NFL. I think it'd be great if they did something like that again. And maybe they haven't, I just don't know it. But right there, that is my number 6 favorite card. And now for my top 5. My 5th favorite card in the set in 1982 was the Walter Payton. So this is the 82 card signifying the 1981 season when Payton ran for over 1,200 yards. And of course, he's going to be in my top list here. However, there is a card of his I like even better than that. That would be my number 4 card. And that's this one right here. In some ways, it's my favorite card. That image may be my favorite card. Just the way he's leaping up over the defenders. And he did that. He was great at that, just leaping up like that. And you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their old creamsicle uniforms. Love that card. Great image. So that's my number 4. And my number 3, right here, kind of a theme. There are a couple of reasons why this is my number 3 favorite card, even ahead of the Walter Payton cards. And that is because this is Matt Suhey's rookie card. He was Walter's best friend, and he has still been very close to the Payton family. Great player, great teammate, part of that 85 Bears team. And their interactions together was just fantastic. And I love in this card that you've got Walter sitting next to him. I think this card perfectly encapsulates their friendship. And they talk a lot about the relationship of Matt and Walter and some of the parallels between Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo and that friendship. And so he was a big part of Walter's life. He was there for him at the end, and he's been there for his kids and Walter's family. And so I just love him to death. One of my favorite Chicago Bears. When I was a kid, I wrote to him. He was one of the first players to write me back. And so I always loved that card. And Matt's dad played in the NFL as well. I've got an old vintage card of his dad. I think he was on the Steelers. So while I love that card autograph, this is one of my favorite things in my collection, this right here. I love this. And shout out to Ed over at Angry Old Man. he sent this to me, and I absolutely adore this autograph, this picture, and it was such a great gift. So Ed is just the man. If you haven't followed him or checked out his channel, he has an amazing collection of autographs. He's a great guy in the hobby. I would highly recommend you check him out, and I'll include a link to his channel in the description of this video. But again, that's just a sweet autograph that I just love having in my collection. Next up is my top 2. If you know my channel really well, this may not be a surprise for you, but if you're anyone else, then this will be. But my number 2, and not anybody else's probably, but my number 2 is Lawrence Taylor LT rookie card. He had the rookie card as well as an in action, and he also had this sticker. You know, that's a pretty cool image right there. So anyway, this is a great card of one of the greatest players of all time. I don't know, he and Reggie White were like the two guys for me growing up that just seemed to take over games and completely dominate. And he was so intense. He was so intense. And offenses had to completely game plan for him, and he'd still just totally take over the game anyway. So very, very much a fan of his play on the field as well as his rookie card. But my number 1 is one of my all-time favorite players. I always talk about how Barry Sanders is my favorite non-Chicago Bear, and that is definitely true. But my second favorite, because I'm a running backs guy, is this guy right here, James Brooks. Now, for me, I was a fan of his when he was on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Charger days were before my time, but he was traded for Pete Johnson, who was a kind of an aging running back for the Bengals and had some off-field problems, and it was considered one of the most lopsided trades in NFL history. James Brooks, when he retired, was one of the top 20 all-time all-purpose yardage leaders in the NFL. He had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He seemed to get better with age. He was on the team for that Super Bowl. He had seasons where he'd average almost 5 yards a carry. He was a great running back, and so he's my number 1. And I love that card. I've got a couple of his cards graded. I may try to get one of his rookie card one of these days. But he was a really fun player. I'd encourage you to go check out his highlights. I might even try to include a video with some highlights if you want to check him out, because he was a super talented running back and big fan of his. In fact, I mentioned the autographs, right? So he was one of the guys I wrote to as a kid as well. I made this back in middle school. Just cut out some photos from some sports magazines, but he wrote me a letter back, and I was very happy about that. So he mentions, you know, another ball player, because when I wrote to him, I was in Little League, and yeah, I was just really, really excited to get that autograph from him, and always a big fan of James Brooks. So that's it. Now, speaking of Brooks, I wanted to show you guys this just to end on. This is a card that I love. It's very unique. And so I stopped collecting cards in '95, but every once in a while I'd buy a pack. And so at the back of my 1982 binder, I had a pack of 1998 Upper Deck, and this Robert Brooks card right here was in there. I just think that's a really cool card. It's just so different than what you normally will see. So you've got the parking lot, him on a bike, there's a car parked in the background. He's in his pads. I just think that's a really, really cool card, and I thought, you know what, I don't know when else I'll ever show this, so since it was in the binder in the back, thought I'd just throw that in there. So cool little card anyway. Alright, so that will do it for today. I always appreciate you guys watching. I know we've all got a lot of stuff going on, and so taking time out to check out these videos is something I always appreciate. So thank you very much for that. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'll be back with more videos in the near future, and as always, go Bears.